Today we are going to see dequeue, or it is called as double-ended queue. So before I start this session, so I want to clarify one thing. So dequeue and dequeue. So there are two dequeues are there. This first one dequeue is nothing but deletion, deleting one element from the queue. Whereas this dequeue, it is nothing but double-ended queue. So what is the difference between these two means? Spelling only difference. So in this first dequeue, dequeue, whereas in double-ended queue, dequeue. Okay. So when you are answering the question in the examination, so first you confirm that whether they are asking dequeue, that is deletion, or they are asking double-ended queue. So after that you answer it. Okay. So this is most important, and most of the students, they are writing different answer for these two questions. Okay. So for sake of understanding, I am telling. So dequeue, double-ended queue, is a linear data structure where the insertion and deletion operations are performed from both ends. So this is what the idea, double-ended queue. The name itself meaning is that double-ended queue is nothing but both the ends, from both ends we are going to do operations. So if in this double-ended queue, we are just, you see this diagram. In this diagram, insertion, it is able to do this side as well as this side, and deletion, it is able to do this side as well as this side. Okay. So in both the sides, we are able to do insertion. At the same time, we are able to do deletion also. So that's why it is called as double-ended queue. Okay. So one important information I want to tell you. Here in a double-ended queue, it won't follow the FIFO rule. FIFO rule, it is nothing but first in, first out rule. Okay. Suppose we are following one end means one end insertion, another end deletion means we are following first in, first out rule. Here in the double-ended queue, insertion which takes place in both the ends, deletion also takes place in both the ends. So that's why it violates the first in, first out rule. So that's why in a double-ended queue, we are not following FIFO rule. Okay. Then, as far as the double-ended queue is concerned, there are two types of double-ended queues there. One is input restricted queue, another one is output restricted queue. What do you mean by input restricted? What do you mean by output restricted? Here it is given that input restricted queue. What do you mean by input restricted? In this queue, insertion operation can be performed at only one end. So here, as per double-ended queue, insertion takes place both the ends. But here in this case, input restricted means input is restricted to only one end. Okay. Here output restricted means output is restricted only one end. So input restricted, it is nothing but insertion operation can be performed at only one end, while deletion operation can be performed at both the ends. So see this diagram. In this diagram, insertion, it takes place in this end only, whereas deletion, which takes place both the end. So in both end, deletion which takes place. Okay. So this type of queue, it is called input restricted queue. Whereas output restricted, vice versa. What is it? Output is restricted in one end, input is allowed in both the ends. So this is, we call it as output restricted. In this queue, deletion operation can be performed at only one end, while insertion can be performed from both the ends. So here it is given that insertion, here also insertion. Whereas deletion, it takes place only one end, deletion is restricted in this end. So this is, we call it as input restricted and output restricted dequeue. I hope you understand this introduction part. Thank you for watching.